update on what's growing. This is my indoor garden, and I think at least some of these is a basil. I'm going to transplant. The peppers I'm going to leave. I always say leave peppers for quite some time. Let them get really big before you mess about with them. I've got a few more odd bits like the kohlrabi and things that I might just empty out what's growing. And we've still got some shelves of things not come up just yet, later things that were sown. And I might, even though the roots aren't coming out of the bottoms of these Malabar spinach, I think I will put them into bigger pots because they're starting to look too big for the pots they're in, which is a good time to know when to transplant. There were still a few tomatoes indoors that were slower to come up. They will now go out with the other tomatoes, and a bit more transplanting to do here. These are aubergines. I don't know what that one is. And then I might put these okra outside now and clear this bit of table. The reason I want to get things out is so that I can start growing again onto my growing shelves indoors. So looking at the ones outdoors, these I started outdoors. These are tomatoes. As you can see, I've thrown quite a lot of seeds into each pot, so I have so many tomato plants. I won't be touching those till they're a bit bigger yet. These are ones that I started indoors and left those few behind. And all I do with these at night, I put this sheet of perspex on top and weigh it down with some stones, and that's been plenty for these to seed outside in this polystyrene. Then things I've transplanted from indoors into big pots and brought out for quite some time now. We've got a mixture of different cucumbers, different types, mini ones, Boston pickling ones, and normal cucumbers. And again at night I just put these water bottles on top, which means they probably won't need watering unless it's been a really hot day. So while I've got the tops off, I'm going to go along today in a minute and check if anything does need watering. Sometimes the smaller pots will. The front row is more of those tomatoes that were growing indoors, and the back row, as I say, big mixture of cucumbers, and then we have zucchinis out here and beans. I think that's all we have out here. So the tomatoes, just have to watch these to see when they root at the bottom. This is starting to come out roots at the bottom, so that one could maybe be put into a bigger pot. And that's why I put drainers or bottoms of our water bottles or anything I have as dishes underneath. You certainly don't want them on earth because the roots will take into earth. So I put containers underneath, which also saves water. So if I do overwater anything at all, it will collect in the dishes and I use that water. So I've got lots of buds coming, I see on here. So lots of tomatoes. Some I've planted more than one in a pot because I was short of pots. All my pots are salvage from the dump or that people have given me. There's a Colin Waffles. And what I've done, because I got mixed up bringing them out, I've kept each thing separate. So the different types of cucumber, I've forgotten which are which, but I leave a big gap so they're in their correct groups. And then lo and behold, when I took the bottle lids off this morning, we have lots of flowers. Now if you're going to keep the bottle tops on all the time, you will have to get a little paintbrush and pollinate them yourself, but it should be fine enough that I leave the lids off during the day. At the moment there are at least 3 yellow flowers on there, slightly smaller ones here, more there. Then we have a gap. These are definitely now beans, but all different types of beans. Oh, that one's been eaten. That one's eaten, I think. So these need a bit more sun. And then over this side, these are newer ones I've just transplanted out the other day. More there. And there's a kit. Yes, it's a kit. So that's what I've done on this pathway. And then I've got more elsewhere. And quite a lot growing there, you would think, already. And this is just my seeds that I started growing in November. Any noise, I've got the swimming pool pump running behind me and the generator in front of me. These are more I've done. These are all zucchinis. Planted here, all doing really well. We have big zucchinis growing. As you see, this area I put stones on top because it stops the snails. Huge ones there. So I have a whole line of those. And then in front I transplanted, oh, there was an extra one there of zucchini that was smaller growing, so that's in a little pot there. And then the other day I transplanted out a lot more that was in the indoor, and it's mostly parsley and dill. So we've got parsley in these ones, and not that big yet. So we have, and not that big yet, but we have giant parsley and normal parsley in these. We have dill, and then the rest of these ones are what I'd already grown outside in these bottles. And we have, I've gone through and shown you them all last time, so I won't open every single one up again. We have things like beetroot. We have just about everything. I'll link below the video where I showed you everything growing in all these. It was only maybe a week or so ago, so I won't go through those again. So we have lots growing in those. These were the marigolds that I've never grown before. They seem to be growing, so I've done another couple of pots of those elsewhere. Got bottles everywhere. I do have to bring my list out if I'm going to tell you what's in them all. And my bottle farm. This is how you can grow huge amounts of crops in a small area, because I've crammed lots into each bottle, and then the amount of bottles I have is the amount of varieties of things that I grow. So as you can see, everything's doing extremely well in bottles. Extremely well, and this is in the middle of our winter time. So definitely have a go at growing in old water bottles. Harvested all my carrots, the last of my carrots, and they were huge. So they've gone, so now I have this bag of my homemade compost left, which I will use for potting. These are Mr. Colin waffles. Still harvesting lots of lettuce everywhere, and I've left one to go to seed. My zucchinis. There's it again, follows me around the garden everywhere. Need to harvest that one. I love the way zucchinis hide. There's one here. Lots more coming over here. Don't know if you can see them all. And I've now put a bit of plastic I already had. It's not completely covering the rabbit cage, but it will give a little bit of warmth to any little pots I put out here now. And inside both sides, this side doesn't have plastic, I've got old bags, plastic bags underneath the crates where I put little pots. And this one has a big tray under it, not too deep, but that's because I've now put cardboard underneath everything just to stop weeds coming up a little bit more. And as you may have seen, I've started over this area as well. So that's a little mini update of this area. Stay tuned to see what else I get growing in my garden and what new seeds I will start growing indoors. And this is still the middle of my winter. So while Mike can't do any building or anything fine detail work at the moment, he actually came along here and completely chopped back all this area. Just chopped it back to make a better line. So put in some before shots. He's got more he wants to do further along. He's also done 2 of our big bushes that I will show you now. Emptied all the compost out of this huge compost area, which is what I've been using to do my transplanting, and as you see, I'm just starting to fill it up again. This little bit I did keep because I like to put this over new transplants. Anything transplanted out, I like a little bit of the broken down straw and compost on top.